inductees this year that we're adding to the Hal Richmond Strat-O-Matic Hall of Fame. Tim Kirkchin, John LaMotta, Tom Swank, and Ken Wenger. Each of them have made their own impacts in the Strat-O-Matic community, and we're honored to be able to include them to the Hall of Fame today. First, we're going to hear from the longtime voice in ESPN, Tim Kirkchin. He could have joined us today. He's at spring training, but he did record a video for us that we'll listen to now.
Hi, this is Tim Kirkchin at ESPN, and I want to thank everyone at Strat-O-Matic for inducting me into the Strat-O-Matic Hall of Fame. It is an unexpected honor for me, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but I'm covering spring training in Arizona, the Cactus League. I started playing Strat-O-Matic when I was 13 years old. The first time I played it, I fell in love with it, and I played it religiously through my college years at the University of Maryland. And there were many nights where my friends were out drinking beer and doing other things, and I was sitting home alone playing Strat-O-Matic, like announcing the games under my breath. Occasionally, I would write a game story about a Strat-O-Matic game that I just played. So I was prepping for a career when I was playing Strat-O-Matic. When I first started covering baseball in 1979, I was so happy to see and hear that so many of my friends in the business had played Strat-O-Matic growing up. And one night I was covering a game at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, and I left my notebook in the press box. John Miller, Hall of Fame broadcaster, who had broadcast the game that night at the Metrodome, found my notebook, and he said, "Come up to my room tonight and you can pick it up." Well, I get to John Miller's room at midnight, and he is playing Strat-O-Matic in his room by himself at midnight, having called a major league game that night. And along the way, I met, of course, Keith Hernandez, the greatest defensive first baseman of all time, and he told me, I love Strat-O-Matic growing up, and he said, when I got signed to play pro ball, I packed my Strat-O-Matic in my suitcase. And my dad said, "Keith, you can't take that game with you. You're a professional player." And Keith said, "But Dad, I'm halfway through the 1970 season." It's a very seductive game. I love it to this day. And I broke my son Jeff at about age 7 into Strat-O-Matic. We played 1 million games together. And we even made a card of my dad, Jeff Kirkchin. We named my son Jeff after my father. And we made a Strat-O-Matic card reflecting Jeff Kirkchin, second base. That's what we do for Strat-O-Matic. That's how much we loved it. It's a family affair. And thanks again for inducting me into the Strat-O-Matic Hall of Fame.
Next up is John LaMotta. Many of you know John through his LaMotta Baseball Bulletin and from being here at opening day for many years. Also, John could not make it with us today, but he did record a video for us.
Hi, it's quite an honor for me to be inducted into the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Hall of Fame. Thank you to everyone at Strat for that honor. I never dreamed I'd be inducted into a Baseball Hall of Fame alongside Keith Hernandez. I really enjoyed being part of the team at Strat to produce a high-quality baseball product year after year. Special thanks to all the subscribers who supported me in my 40 years of producing the LaMotta's Baseball Bulletin newsletter. That project has truly been a labor of love for me. I've been lucky to have the support of my wife Terry to help produce those LBBs over the years. Terry and I truly miss coming up to Glen Head on opening day to meet managers and sell issues to them and talk to all the managers who were braving the cold to get their cards on opening day. In my 50 years of playing Strat, I've made so many friends, and I'm actually still playing in leagues with people I started playing with in the 70s. And thanks to all those managers and commissioners for all the leagues I've played in. I've had so much fun trading and drafting and playing Strat in all those leagues. It's been a fantastic run. Thanks again to everyone for everything, and it's been my pleasure to share my love of baseball with people who love the game as much as I do. Thank you.
All right, our next honoree is basically the first ambassador of Strat-O-Matic baseball, Tom Swank. And Tom's son, Brian, here, a longtime Strat-O-Matic player himself, is here to accept the award.
Yeah. Good afternoon. My father, Tom Swank, he was born in '43, so he would have been 82 on the 27th. He grew up idolizing the Brooklyn Dodgers, so in '58 when they moved to LA, he was heartbroken. From that point on, in 1961, Strat was created. He saw an article about this game, and he gained a love of the game that he played until the day he died in '04. So he always rooted for the underdog from that point on, and that's what he taught us, to root for the underdog and to be part of a community of great people. Through the game, he made many contacts, played by mail, local newsletters, tournaments that lasted until the early dawn. He always played with big dice, so he was a very loud player and a very loud man. Pissed off my mom quite a bit. Different teams imagined, super teams, historic teams, playing 27 Yanks versus the 61 Yanks. Team of guys all named Jones versus guys named Johnson. Always researching before the internet, so you had the Encyclopedia of Baseball being thumbed through quickly. When Quick Play came out, you know, he had a few laughs because he couldn't imagine how a whole season could be played in 2 minutes. One day we were playing a game against each other, and it was Robin Ventura, and America was playing on the radio, and Ventura's Highway came on, and Ventura hit a grand slam. So we had a laugh because we imagined Robin Ventura was probably doing the Snoopy dance. And before the '84 season, he picked the Tigers and the Padres to play each other in the World Series. Man, he really knew his baseball. Always wearing a different hat for each season, and maybe a Pirates hat one year and a Cubs hat the next. The year that he passed was the year 2003, when the Cubs blew it against the Marlins in the playoffs. I bought a Cubs hat the next year. Wear it to this day. Always had offensive teams. Didn't think about pitching, as a friend Pat Sullivan said. One day I said to my father, I said, you know, this team is really tough. I mean, this team is really resilient. And he said, what are you using big words on me? Stop using big words. What are you trying to say? I said, well, they're really tough. He goes, why the hell didn't you just say that? But what my father would probably say is, holy shit, I can't believe it. Hall of Fame, me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. And congratulations to Tom. Last up today, Ken Wenger. He makes incredible contributions to the Windows game every year. He's a tester. Although Ken cannot be here today, accepting on his behalf is Mark Wasserman.
Yeah!
Thank you, John. Here's something that Kenny wants to address to the whole community. He begins by thanking those responsible for his selection into the Strat-O-Matic Hall of Fame. I am honored by this recognition. I'd also like to thank the company for its support over the years. When I described my next proposed project to Steve Barkin or Bob Winbury, I was unfairly given whatever was needed to complete the task. In more recent years, I've worked with John, Glenn, and Len Durant, and they've also been supportive. I began playing Strat-O-Matic baseball in 1965. Some friends who lived nearby bought a selector set of 1964 teams. I think that I could still name those 20 players on those teams. The following year, I purchased my first cards. A selector set consisting of the Dodgers, the Giants, the Phillies, the Twins, the Orioles, and the Yankees. It wasn't until after the 1976 season, when the Yankees returned to the World Series, that I purchased the complete set of teams. I have fond memories of waiting impatiently for the delivery truck to bring my new season of Strat-O-Matic cards, which I know that I share with most of you. For several years, I was a member of the Strat 5 League in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. In 2012, I came to opening day to pick up our cards with several members of the league. It turned out that I won our league's championship with the cards that we picked up that day. Hal Richmond has noted that his games sometimes lead people into an interest in mathematics and statistics. I'm one of those guys. I taught middle and high school mathematics for 37 years. I had a Strat-O-Matic baseball club at my school. There were a couple of years during which the exchange students from Japan were members of the club and were able to play their favorite Japanese teams. Innovations by the game company led me into a different aspect of the Strat-O-Matic baseball experience. I loved the ability to include player pictures into the game and soon began developing photo sets for the seasons. The as-played feature intrigued me. After figuring out how it worked, I began studying scans of box scores from past seasons and developed as-played files. It felt less like I was wasting my time on these projects when I was able to share my work with others. And by developing association with Gary and Len allowed me to do so. It's funny how computers and the internet allow you to form friendships with people whom you never would have likely have met. I appreciate and would like to recognize the many who I've worked with over the years. My first contact with the community was with Gary and Len. In the years to follow, I collaborated with Rob, Joe, Steve, Bruce Bundy, Tony and John, among others. The members of the update team with whom I currently work is relatively small in numbers, but we've collaborated on projects for many, many years. And I appreciate the friendships that we formed and how well we work together. These friends are Len, with who I worked for about 30 years, Ed, Buck, a couple of Kens, and recent addition, Steve. Again, thank you, Strat-O-Matic, Hal Richmond, the Richmond family, and everybody for the recognition. On behalf of Kenny Wenger, and I've gotten to know Kenny over the years, and he is truly worthy, and I'm so happy for him and his family. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ken, and congratulations to the 2025 class of the Hal Richmond Strat-O-Matic Hall of Fame.
Yeah.